back to episode 22 of the NoStoppingKev Show. I'm your host, Kevin Beeford, and I'm here with the man, the OG, Kevin Beeford, and we're here to bring you back another episode of inspiration.
That's a nice name for it.
What?
Inspiration.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
You know why I said that, Dad?
Why you said that?
Because that's what we're here for. You know, on the show, we're all about, just trying to give people that little piece of inspiration to hold on to when they're going through possibly the darkest or hardest of times. I think that in life, we all have a lot of experiences, or we experience a lot of things, rather. And specifically talking about the hard times in life, sometimes it's difficult to see yourself getting through it. It's easy to feel like it's time to give up, but it's harder to tell yourself, hey, I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep pushing, because I know a brighter day is coming. Tough times don't last, tough people do. And I just believe somewhere inside of all of us there's a tough version of ourselves. We just gotta keep working to bring it out, or let that part of us, that side of ourselves, win. So that's why we always trying to bring a little bit of inspiration with the No Stopping Kev Show. And, we also like to talk about things going on in the community. So if you didn't catch last week's episode, got a lot of love about it. It was a very important topic. It was, an event that shook up the town, I would say. So definitely take a listen. Check out episode 21. You know why I also like episode 21?
Why?
On a less important point than what we talked about in the show. 21 is a special number.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay.
You want to share about it? You just going, oh, okay.
Well, no, that was, I believe you was talking about the basketball number, of our jersey that we used to wear.
Yeah, man, that's my favorite number. I only got I think I only had like one jersey that was number 21 at the Y. I never had it at any other point in my basketball career.
Well, I always liked that number, and that's the number I wore in college. It's the number I wore, so I do like that number.
Yeah, if I ever get in a league where I can choose my own number, I'll probably go back to rocking it. Although some other numbers,
Well, you just have to get your jersey and just put your number.
Yeah, just alter that thing a little bit. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about another big topic, a topic that I find very important, especially when it comes to dealing with the youth, or a lot of things that the youth encounter today or have been encountering. It's just something that, I've become more and more aware of throughout my own experiences, things that I've seen happen to students in particular, and also, something that I kind of heard about because it kind of happened to me. But today is all about not limiting yourself, and also not letting others limit the things you can do in life. I think right in line with that was what we were talking about earlier when you were talking about goals.
Yeah, I think goals are really important. Like for me, I called myself not setting goals because really I was scared of not achieving the goal. So I didn't want to. And then, it's a lack of even not setting goals make you work not as hard. Mm-hmm. It can make you work not as hard. And that where I probably fell short in a lot of ways, in a lot of different areas. You could talk about basketball, you could say school. It's all because I didn't set goals and work hard at it.
Mm-hmm. It's like when they say, what they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Having that goal kind of gives you a plan. It gives you something to work for. If you're not working towards something, it's like kind of what are you doing, so to speak.
And when you say that, because you know what, sometimes it's, you could have your self-esteem could be low, and what I'm saying is I used to use, and I could say for me, I didn't set it because if I didn't make that goal, so and I might have had it in my head, but I didn't have it because I didn't put it out. I didn't let nobody know about it. We talk about a lot of different things like accountability, mm-hmm. and therefore it makes me not really focus on goals.
So you're saying that sometimes you might have kind of subconsciously had a goal in mind, but it wasn't you weren't really working toward. It was like something you kind of wanted to do, but you wasn't fully 100% committed. Is
Right,
that type of
right,
thing?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's important too, because one, if you're gonna set a goal, kind of commit to it, because there's gonna be a lot of distractions that come your way. There's gonna be a lot of adversity that hit, a lot of things that just naturally in life knock you off your square, so to speak, or make you lose sight of what you're working for. And those things, as we'll talk about, come in quite a different way, in a lot of different ways. So I think you raised a good point there, and it's funny that you say you kind of shied away from setting goals out of fear of failing. When you talk about our experiences and how they've kind of been different through upbringing. For me, I used to set goals, and one of my biggest fears was failing. So my fear of failure kind of would work in my favor, because it would drive me even harder to set my goals. And then it's probably is good to let people know what you're working for, because accountability, right? You gotta have someone there to kind of help you stick to it. So I think you raised some good points. But I was thinking about this topic because something else reminded me of my own experience. So some people may know this, but there was a period of time when I was in high school where I was afraid to apply in the pen. I didn't know if that's where I wanted to go to school. It was going to be a much different environment, which I understood. And, I went to a prospective student event there, and I saw how, based on these kids' backgrounds, like I felt like they were light years ahead of me, right? Based on, growing up here in the city, going to the schools I went to, I got a pretty good education, but I knew, like, hey, I'm at the top of here, one of the best district probably have to offer, but we're so far behind these other kids. So a lot of doubt started to kind of, fester a little bit. And, it questioned a lot about me. You had to look at, would I be able to be successful at that next level? And I always kind of believed in myself, right? But sometimes you're faced with something that really makes you look in the mirror and have to think, right? And I was blessed in that I had great mentors, especially Dr. Anderson, who always was kind of in my ear and pushed me, because he saw something that I couldn't see, because sometimes we can't see things within ourselves. But, I was definitely, I'll say a little bit afraid of going to Penn.
But, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say something else why I was remembering that. See, like when we was talking about that, it wasn't that, like, what? I know if I put my mind to it and I really wanted it. Like, like when I got on the basketball court, there was no fear, because that's something I loved and that's something I wanted. See, otherwise, like, some things I really didn't want, and I had the wrong attitude in life. And I carried the wrong attitude. My only thing in life was wanting you to make it and get an education and not be where I was at. Now, some kind of way you got that, and I have to thank God for that, and, along your mom was good and everything else, and everybody else that helped you. But, like, my mindset coming from where, like, when you were saying that, I went the wrong way with my thinking.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, you wanted me to get a good education and do well, and that's something that I really wanted to. Like, my goal was always to, kind of get straight A's, get hundreds if I could, just so it put me in a position to go to the best school possible, get the best scholarship possible, so I didn't have to pay for college. And here I found myself in a position to do just that. I had a chance to go to an Ivy League school, but I was a little fearful about doing it, but I still had the opportunity, and so that fear could have limited me. Same thing with Gates. It was like, okay, there's this great opportunity. I can go to school for free, but I might not be able to get it. What if I don't? So there's these things that kind of creep in your mind, that's these what ifs. And if you let your mind take over, if you let those negative thoughts come in, you start to limit your potential, right? So it's like, what if I didn't apply to either one of them? Then I don't get in, my whole trajectory in life changes. Now, it doesn't mean that it's impossible to get to where I am today, or even to keep going farther, right? It just means opportunities that were afforded to me by, becoming a Gates Scholar, getting into Wharton, they might not necessarily had come at the times that they did. But the other thing that I experienced, and that I realized is that, you know, people will doubt you in life. Or, they might question who you are. There were people at my school, staff, teachers that questioned my resiliency. Like, oh, how is Kevin, is he going to do well? What's going to happen when he doesn't get straight A's anymore? Like, is he going to be able to take it? Is he going to graduate? Like, questioning me. Meanwhile, I've been thriving my whole high school career, right? They didn't know if I can make that jump, and that's something that happens. And what it is it's like people putting their own limitations on you. They're reflecting that onto you. Like, they don't know if they could do it, or they don't think you're good enough to do it, but they didn't know what was driving me. Like, they didn't know I watched my mom raise 2 kids basically on a single family. They don't know I watched that struggle. So when they don't understand that intrinsic value of what's, driving a person to do something, they just have no clue. So they thought, like, hey, he's not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. We don't think he'll be able to, get through such a rigorous institution. But they didn't know that fight I had. Like, they didn't know Kevin, who, looked at life the same way he did on the basketball court. Where on the basketball court, if you're up against a tough opponent, you're going to grind. You're going to have to grind it out. You're going to have to fight for every little thing you can get. They didn't know that, Kevin. So they only saw a small snapshot, or they only knew from their experience, which, highlights that it can be an element of ignorance there. And they tried to put that on me. They tried to limit what I can do. Try to get me to look some other places. And, what probably hurt me the most and almost made me really throw it all away about trying to go to Penn. I was in my senior seminar, and, I asked the teacher, because we use this thing, Naviance, where it averages out people from your school that applied and got in to places, and it'll tell you, like, what was the average TED score of a person accepted, what were their GPA, things like that. And I asked my teacher, I'm like, you think this is a match, right? And, teacher told me, like, yeah. But then, you have a meeting with your parent at the school, one-on-one after school. A parent comes up and you kind of talk about, the places you're thinking about applying and things like that. And my teacher basically told my mom that it was a bit of a reach for me. And it could be a reach, it could be a match, it could be a safety school for all I care. But in that moment, something was off, right? It was like, you told me one thing here, but now my mom here, you saying something totally different. And I got a sense of doubt. So it made me question, like, maybe I can't get into the school. And so I really thought about not applying, but my mom started preaching that faith, that good word. And then also having a mentor to really keep my head on straight, who would see greater and would always push me to test my comfort zone, made me, in the long run, end up going for it. But that goes back to what you were saying earlier about having goals. The clouds kind of came in. I was working towards the sunshine, right? But the clouds kind of rolled in, and it's easy to get distracted and think that sunshine is gone forever. But because I had that goal that kept my mind saying, what, wait, hey, got a little distracted. Let me get my eyes back. Let me just fight through these clouds. And, look what happened. I ended up graduating from Wharton. Became a Gates Scholar. So it's things like that. So it's easy to let people limit you. And something else that I realized lately is that this happens to a lot of kids. I hear stories about all the time, and I actually have the pleasure of being able to reach out to some kids that are in a similar spot that I was in, because, I got to pay it forward, because, Dr. Anderson will have other people talk to me like, hey, you got to go for this. Even if you don't end up enrolling in the school, at least apply so you got the option, right? Worst thing that can happen is they say no. Best thing that can happen is say yes. Life real simple, right? So now I was talking to this kid a couple weeks ago. He's like class valedictorian, and he plans on going to Ohio State. He wants to study criminal justice, right? And apparently this dude's scores and stuff are like they solid. Like, he should definitely be considering some other schools other than just Ohio State, even though Ohio State's number 1 in the state for, what he wants to study. But it's like, why not apply to some other elite institutions, right? Why not apply to some Ivy League schools, some Stanfords, if you can go? At least, even if you don't choose to go, you give yourself that option. Because, where you go can dictate what opportunities you have later to an extent, right? So I'm talking to this kid, and it's a situation where he's not so much limited by others. He's kind of limited by his own thinking at times, because that's where I was at too, so I could relate. And so, I was talking to him, and I was like, all right, where you want to go? Yeah, so tell me a little bit more why you want to go there. Then one of the things he mentioned was that number one in Ohio for my major. So you know what I asked him next? I said, what's the number one school in the country for your major? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, man, well, maybe that's what you need to find out. Because who knows what that school might be. He had his dream school, or the school he thought he wanted to go to, was a different institution on the West Coast. But he went out there and visited, didn't really like the feel. So now he was kind of going with something that he's probably comfortable with, school in his home state. So I told him, I was like, yo, just find out. And I actually need to check in with this kid, so I'm glad we're talking about it. Find out what school is number one in the country for your major, and see if it's something you want to consider.
So otherwise, we talking about don't let other people limit your vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I guess in several different ways that could be done. See, it was good that you had some people, but see, what? Sometimes even the people that you're around don't mean to limit your. It's like our choices that we make sometimes, and we might hang around people, and you know what? Some of the people might not want to see you make it. Mm-hmm. Some people are going to just tell you, because it's a whole bunch like jealousy, whatever, can try to limit your vision. And like I said, I mostly hung around some people that didn't have big vision, mm-hmm. that didn't want that. And then like a lot of times I say I learned a lot of things now, or I could see a lot of things now. So now like certain things, you have it to do that, and how you used it. See, I didn't use what I had. And cause we were talking about going to school. If it was in front of me and I wanted it, I don't think I didn't get anything I didn't want. But you know what? I limit my own vision. I limit my own thing because I didn't want much, and I used to tell myself I didn't want much.
Do you think you actually wanted it though?
No. It's funny because I didn't even want to go to college. And everybody wanted me to go to college. Everybody said it. Not that I would have trouble going to college, but you know what? I wanted to get a job and just go to work. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to do. But everybody else wanted me to go to college. So I was limiting my own self even for that. And when I was saying, even when I got there. And I can't say, it's a whole lot with that. It's a whole lot with that. So now it's good, you put this on and see, just you know what? I knew what not to let you see, or if you was going to do something, I could see it. And I could see it in you because I didn't want you to follow behind me. I always wanted you to be better.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that going to college was best for you at that time?
I mean, like I said, I wasted things.
So you're saying, had you been more goal-oriented at that time and really wanted to work for something while you were there, things could have turned out a little bit differently?
Yeah, it definitely. But see, that's why sometimes, I'm glad that we do this, because it can help some people, because they could see both sides of it. And the reward of where you at, and then, you look where I'm really at. I'm struggle to make ends meet. You doing good. Like we all always say, and it's just not limit. See, because you know what? You can hang, they always told me sometimes, you can't pull some people up, but the people up can pull you down. So the crowd that I hung with wasn't trying to really lift me up.
Yeah, you gotta, and sometimes you don't know when you have someone that could be damaging in your circle. Like I was talking to someone close to me this week, and she's in college, and I was like, all right, so I need you to send me your resume, because you're a sophomore. You want to start getting ready to strengthen up that resume, a little bit, get some internships on there. And, she told me, like, yeah, I got a resume. I can send it to you. I'm thinking about changing my career path, though. And this person, they've been talking about being a lawyer for I don't know how long now, right? And I'm like, what's driving this change here? Like, why don't you want to be a lawyer anymore? What you want to be? And, it's all fine changing what you want to do, right? I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. But it's the why that I'm always interested in.
Well, was it because somebody else was trying to change her mind?
Yes, it was someone else limiting that growth there, what a person wanted to do, limiting their potential. And so, she says to me, like, all right, the reason was financial, and also I realized being a lawyer might not be best for me. And I was like, tell me more. What you mean? Like, go deeper. And, she was like, I was having a conversation with my counselor, and my counselor said, they don't really give financial aid for law school and things like that. So there was the financial component, and I'm like, okay, one, that's not true. Like, people get money to go to law school. If you do well, you can get scholarships, grants, and there is financial aid out there for it. And also, a lot of people will take debt to go into any type of grad school, whether it's to get an MBA, if it's to get a master's, if it's to go to med school. Like, people take on debt, but the career you get afterwards, like, you're going to be all right.
Well, look at doctors.
Yeah.
Doctors got it.
Yeah, they got a lot of debt, but they also living nice, right? You probably live pretty comfortable, right? So it's not unusual. And then the second thing was the advisor told her, hey, listen, you got to get all A's. Probably you got to have like a 4.0 to get into a good law school. And also, our school is a smaller, like, state school here in Pennsylvania. It's a smaller state school. She's like, you'll be competing against people from schools like Harvard, more well-known students. So I was pissed, just because now you're pitting your limitations on this person. Like, you're pitting your limitations on a student now. Like, your job is to help this student be the best they can be.
Motivate.
Yeah, you should be motivating them, and like, yeah, sometimes if their goals are unrealistic,
right,
then you reel them back in. But if you want to be a lawyer, you can still be a lawyer no matter what school you go to. Now, you do got to understand, like, hey, there's people that maybe at some other institutions that may be starting here. I may be starting here, but you can still get there. Like, there's no clear way, and there's no bad law school. Just because you're starting out at a smaller school doesn't mean you still can't get to the top. You just got to understand, like, hey, you might have to work 100 times harder than the person at the Harvard. But you never know where an internship might get you, might land you up. It might land you at a great law firm with someone that can help you navigate, help you become more attractive to law schools down the line that you're interested in applying to. Like, you just never know how these things can pan out. And what I'm getting at is, how are you going to not go for something so early?
But, with the person's heart set on it, too.
That's a good thing, but that's a good point.
No, because, like, the reason I say that, because, you know what? It's a whole lot of law firms. It's a whole lot of ways to get in there. It's not like you take basketball. Only a certain amount of people going to make basketball. And you got so many people going out there. But, like, it's a lot of openings for lawyers and something like that. Well, like you say, it could be a small firm in the beginning.
Well, I'll do you one better. It might be only so many spots in the NBA, right? But there's other leagues that can still bring you the enjoyment it's a different market, right? So there's still opportunities out there, even if it's not the big glamorous Morgan.
Right, you don't give up.
Yeah, you don't give up because you don't know what doors may open for you down the line. You just gotta understand, like, hey, I gotta get busy when it comes to these books to make myself more attractive when people are recruiting to go to law school, and even down the line once you pass your bar exam, to work at a good law firm or even start your own law firm. Like, there are opportunities out there. But the thing that I think pissed me off the most is you was about to kill a person's dream so early, and they almost fell victim to it just out of, like, not knowing. Like, they come to you trusting you for direction, and out of ignorance you just kind of kill them for whatever reason. Maybe you thought this person wasn't capable of doing it. But again, people don't know. They don't always know who you are. Like, you better than yourself. You know what you want better than anyone else in this world.
Right. And then if you enjoy what you're doing, then you need to keep on.
And
like, something, just believe in yourself.
Right. And I was talking to her, and the backup career that this person chose, they chose it because she was like, yeah, I can still help people. I'm like, if you want to help people, let that be what drives you to prove these people wrong. Just keep that in your mind. Like, hey, I want to be a lawyer because I want to help people get out of whatever type of situation it may be. Let that be what drives you. So when you're up at night in your dorm room, you tired, you thinking about calling it quits early, let that be what keep you grinding for another 2 hours. Let that be what drives you to keep your GPA on the rise. Let that be what drives you to get that next A on your next exam. So it's like shifting your mindset, because it's so easy to let all the noise come into your mind. It's like Ben Simmons, what he said about his jump shot. He said, I've been listening to all this noise. Now it's just me. I'm going to do what I want to do. So that's what you got to do no matter what walk of life it's in. Do what you got to do to be the best version of yourself, and don't let anybody distract you from what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, like you're saying, and that's good. And, for people to know, you might need somebody to help remove that doubt from you, and it's good. And, and it's always there. And, like, I think like all this always relate, because now it's your support group.
Yep.
And it was good that this person reached out and got to talk to you. I guess this show is good and inspired, like when you say inspired, because now maybe somebody may get something from here, of what you just said. And like one thing I also like to say in something like that is you got to believe in yourself.
Definitely.
And like remove the doubt.
And that's why it's important to set those goals. You want to know what you're working towards. Because if you know what you're working towards, it's easier to know what path you should be on. If you know, like, all right, I want to get to that star. I got to climb. Let's just imagine there's ropes to different stars. All right, I got to keep climbing this rope. Like a big gust of wind might throw you off. You got to jump onto another strand just so you don't fall all the way back to the bottom, right? But now it's like, all right, let me get back over it. Let me swing back over to this rope right here. So that's what we got to do. But you said it. Set goals, believe in yourself. Sometimes just block out the noise, and also find when you're looking for people to surround yourself with, make sure it's the people that's pushing you to do what you want to do the things that you're passionate about. If someone's trying to talk you out of something, because we talk ourselves out of stuff enough, right?
Tell me about it.
We can talk ourselves out of doing the things that we really want to. It's easy to come up with a reason why not to do something. It's so easy. And so now my thing is, like, wait, all right, if I can come up with one reason why I can quit doing this, let me come up with one reason why I should keep going. Let me see what reason I think carries the most power to it. So I could have come up with a million reasons why not to start a podcast, but I told myself all I need is one to make me actually go through and execute this thing. And look at me now. 22 episodes in, and that's not counting the Wednesday basketball editions.
That's funny you say that, because, like I learned to get through some things in life. And sometimes, like you said, I look at all the wrong things. And like, it's funny that you say that, because, I got through some tough times, and you know what? And I just had to grab one thing that was positive. And you just let me know that. And see, like, it's funny because, like, it's good that, you know what? It's just like, what's so funny? And like, I'm just going to say, back when I was playing basketball, you might only have games on Sunday. You might only, had a game on Saturday and Sunday after the holidays. But, like, now, you got games on every day of the week. You got so much stuff that can help you today. And like sometimes, like I try to tell people today, the way I got through tough times is I grabbed on one thing. But sometimes, like you said, you might be swinging, but it is something there.
Yeah, you got to focus on that thing that keep you going.
And then, like, the other thing you said that's head on too is the support. You gotta get the right support. You can't have people that gonna co-sign your stuff. Believe me,
Or
I know.
people that don't push you.
I just went through it just today with my son in there who trying to push me because like sometimes I'm just like that, and I'm that person that might just not wanna go, and he just got on me for that. So and I always knew it was good. You was good.
Well, I'm glad you came with your open-mindedness
Well, I always
and
tell you, I
willingness.
try how.
Yeah, you
I
gotta try that how.
But you know, sometimes it's just not right there.
Sometimes how is more like ow. It's painful. Growth not always easy, but you gotta keep doing it. So make sure you said support, right?
Right.
What's our takeaways today? Support. Surround yourself with people that's gonna make you or help you become that better version of yourself. Help them become the you 2.0 and then the 3.0 and so forth and so forth. We should always be striving to grow every day of our lives and chasing that better version of ourselves because it's out there. Other thing, believe in yourself, right?
Right.
Gotta believe in yourself because if you don't, who will? There's a little caveat to that though, because sometimes people can see something in yourself that you don't see. That's why you gotta have great people in your circle, in your support system.
Yeah.
Go right back around to it. Then the other thing is, don't let your mind limit what you could do, your capacity. Don't let those negative things, don't let that noise come in and knock you off your path. And just hold fast to the goals you set. Have faith. Do whatever you need to do to keep your eye on the prize, and don't let anything kind of knock you off that square. And if it does, just be aware and be like, hey, I got to get back to what I'm striving to do. Right?
Right.
Then that last thing is, don't let others limit you. Don't let others put their limitations on you, because we already can do that to ourselves enough. So now, don't let somebody else do something to you that you already defending yourself against. You're already protecting yourself against that. No limits. That's what I want to leave y'all with today. No limits, whether it's from you, whether it's from somebody else, whether it's from something. Just believe in yourself. Set a goal. Go out there and keep working towards it until you get there. And remember, you got to set that SMART goal. Don't just have that subconscious goal that's just kind of in your head. You think about it here and there. Have something you think about every day. Something that keep you up at night. Let that be the thing that drives you to get to it, to get to the prize, to win. And when you go through those dark times, just tell yourself my favorite quote I tell me when I'm going through something tough. You know what it is?
What is it?
Tough times don't last. Tough people do. And that's why I get to call myself NoStoppingKev, because at some point I'm going to get through it, baby.
I always tell you, the difficult you do immediately, the impossible takes a little time.
Man, that's why we just got to keep striving day in, day out. But yeah, y'all, I want to leave y'all with that. Thank you for listening as always. I appreciate it. We appreciate it more than y'all know. I just ask if you can share this episode with one person or drop it in the group chat. That's bonus points. That's a multiplier right there. You send one text, it hits 7 people. So yeah, drop this video, or if you're listening on Apple Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play. Send them this episode. So I think it was a lot of gems in here. A lot of diamonds in this episode.
Well, you always give them.
I try, man. I try. You come with some fire too. People love listening to your perspective, Pops. So keep it coming. And also, like I said, share this episode. Leave us that 5-star review down below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also check us out on Instagram and Facebook. But y'all, listen. I said it once and I'll say it again. We love y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Until next time, we are out.
And stay blessed.